Throughout the years dating all the way back to Richard Nixon and the Watergate scandal, there have been many mind-blowing conspiracy theories where people think there is always a hidden ulterior motive behind literally everything. Some more recent conspiracy theories you may have heard about are probably Deflategate, where Tom Brady and the Patriots allegedly minorly deflated 11 footballs to give them an advantage, or Astrogate, where the Houston Astros were stealing the opposing players' pitching signals. People around the world always take to the internet whenever controversial situations arise, and almost always suggest that there is a conspiracy theory behind nearly everything. Let's take a look at some of the interesting conspiracy theories that can be found throughout disc golf. Umbrellagate. Umbrellagate was a conspiracy theory that involved Ricky Wysocki hitting a strategically placed umbrella that was positioned in the fairway that caused him to not go out of bounds and not take any extra strokes. I know it sounds a little far-fetched to be pre-planned, but that's why it's a conspiracy theory, right? Ricky would also go on to win the tournament. Chipmunkgate. When Michael Johansson and Bradley Williams were in a do-or-die playoff situation at Maple Hill, Johansson's disc allegedly strikes a stray chipmunk that causes his disc to go out of bounds, therefore basically awarding Bradley Williams with the win. Conspiracy theorists were all over this one, because what are the odds of this actually ever happening in real life? Fencegate. During a tournament at Waco, Texas, Paul McBeth and Ricky Wysocki were tied at the top when Paul McBeth throws an obvious out-of-bounds shot that mysteriously finds its way back through a fence and inbounds. This obviously saved McBeth from taking a couple strokes and falling behind, and it also seemed to rattle Wysocki, who would ultimately end up losing the tournament to McBeth. The question here is, how in the world did that disc get back on the other side of the fence? Decapagate. When Ricky Wysocki threw a blind tee shot over some trees, he managed to headshot a tournament spotter directly in the head. Luckily, the spotter seemed to be okay. The real question here is the conspiracy theory about this situation directed towards Ricky not caring if he headshot the guy, or was the spotter purposely in a situation to where he was trying to get hit? Your guess is as good as mine. Ringgate. This one is also known as flashing the rings, or world champ love. This is the idea that once you become a world champion, the chances of you getting a lucky breakout on the course skyrockets. Even the champs who have the world titles acknowledge this as a real thing. It's basically a cheat code. Timergate. Each player is only supposed to have 30 seconds to putt. The idea behind the Timergate conspiracy is that all the players and audience seem frustrated that a lot of the players are taking much longer than the allotted time, but yet no one wants to call a violation on them. It seems they would rather just wait the extra time over saying something and causing a scenario where someone gets upset, angry, or holds a grudge against the person who called them out. Cross-tie gate. Here we have Nate Sexton and Chris Dickerson battling it out for the lead. Nate Sexton throws a forehand onto an island hole where for some reason there is a missing cross-tie. Sexton's disc lands exactly where the cross-tie should be, and no one, not even a nearby official, knows what to do about the situation. In the end, Sexton ended up taking 2 extra strokes because of this, which gives Dickerson the win due to this technicality. Why was the cross-tie removed? Goatgate. This conspiracy is centered around Paul McBeth and the amount of pull and impact he has on the whole disc golf scene. Often referred to as the GOAT, he has major influence on what goes on in the disc golf world. Basically, his opinion really matters. For instance, one time at the MVP Open, he disagreed with a tournament director on how a hole should be played midway through the tournament. Initially, the tournament director disagreed, but by the next day, you guessed it, McBeth's opinion was correct. Spottergate. The Spottergate conspiracy theory basically states that spotters can have the ability to determine the outcome of a tournament. Corrupt spotters could purposely get in the way or sabotage players' throws, say a player crossed in bounds when they actually didn't, or vice versa. Spotters could also give a player a more favorable lie than they actually had to give them an advantage. Backpackgate. During the 2023 Worlds Tournament, Isaac Robinson was on the lead card when he threw an errant shot that miraculously hit a well-placed backpack that sent his disc back in bounds. Isaac would go on to win the World Championship soon after, but if it wasn't for this backpack, who knows what the outcome would have been. Conspiracy? Grenadegate. This conspiracy could be referring to Eagle McMahon, the camera guy, or the filming companies. I'm not sure if it's about Eagle for not registering those weapons of mass destruction with the government, the camera guy for looking for a way to get workers' compensation, or the filming companies for not putting the cameramen out there with hard hats on. Either way, I'm glad after a few stitches, the cameraman was back up and going. Goosegate. This conspiracy theory mainly calls out the Las Vegas Challenge and the amount of geese that they have on the course. These geese can cause an unfair advantage depending on where the geese are on the course. Several times here, geese have been hit, which caused unnecessary strokes for only a few players, while others luckily managed to find a way around them. Maybe the conspiracy theorists think the geese are remote-controlled. Who knows? Ratingsgate. This conspiracy theory refers to players who have a decent rating but are having a terrible time on the course. They get the idea to tank their round by throwing an extremely large amount of extra shots because they know the PDGA will throw out a round that has a rating extremely lower than what the player's average rating is. Suspensions have been given for this reason in the past, but sometimes you can't tell if the player is just playing awful or is purposely trying to run his or her score up. Spectatorgate. This one is very similar to Spottergate, but rather than spotters being able to interfere or alter the outcome of a player's round, it is now the spectators. Spectators could purposely stand where they know players are going to throw, not get out of the way of a disc on purpose, or razz a player during his or her shot. For instance, there was a situation where on hole 18 of a tournament, Austin Hannum threw a great shot to tie Adam Hammes, but a spectator was directly in the way and forever altered the outcome of the tournament. Taco Gate. We all know some players can get mad and taco their disc out of frustration, but some players are tacoing their disc to gain an unfair advantage. One of those players singled out was Matt Bell. By bending and folding his disc, he could make it almost like a ball and throw it overhanded, where the entire flight was deviated from the intended frisbee-like flight. Should this be legal or not? Elaine Gate. Without going into too much detail on this, basically Kristen Tatar and Paige Pierce were tied for the lead going to the last round of the 2022 Champions Cup when Tatar received a message via a message to Paige Pierce's caddy from PDGA board member Elaine King. The message stated that her underage daughter could not be on the course as her caddy and must be in the gallery instead or risk being disqualified. Obviously, Tatar was skeptical about leaving her young daughter in with a crowd of people who she didn't know, but that's the way it had to be per Elaine King. The whole round it seemed that Tatar was off her game and concerned about her child, but honestly, who wouldn't be if this scenario happened to you? Pierce would ultimately take the win over Tatar, and it left everyone wondering why this whole scenario even happened. And did Elaine have an ulterior motive behind the scenes? You be the judge.